News with Israel Lai.
Good evening and welcome to Joy News at 8 with me, Israel Lai. Today's story is making the headlines. The Volta River Authority and Electricity Company of Ghana say an increase in electricity tariffs is necessary to raise additional funds to meet increasing costs of making power available to the public. President John Mahama has ordered investigations into reports that $80 million worth of Ghana's gold has been seized at a Turkish airport. The court has adjourned to Thursday, January 31, the case in which lawyers of the President and the Electoral Commission are demanding further and better particulars from Nana Akufo-Addo, Dr. Baumia and Jake Obechabilamte, who are challenging the 2012 election results. In showbiz, with barely 2 weeks to Valentine, Ghanaian hip-life artist ASEM has released a Valentine song. And on the international front, dozens of bodies of young men, all apparently summarily executed, have been found in the northern Syrian city of Aleppo. All these and more plus the very latest in sports, especially AFCON updates coming up in a moment. The Volta River Authority and the Electricity Company of Ghana are calling for an increase in electricity tariffs. The two organizations tell Joy News the tariff hike is necessary as they need more funds to help meet the increasing costs involved in making power available to the public. The tariff increase proposal comes at a time consumers are experiencing erratic electricity supply, a situation they obviously don't find amusing. Gifty Andor-Pierre meanwhile reports that some recommendations made by government earlier to cut down on wastage in the power sector and to ensure efficient power supply appear to have been forgotten.
In 2010, government issued a directive to ministries, departments and agencies to all use prepaid meters as a measure against abuse of electrical power. About 3 years down the lane, only a few government establishments use prepaid meters. The Rent Control is one such agency. Chum Ampofo is Principal Rent Officer at the Rent Control in Accra.
We started this using the prepaid meter around 2010. They have a precise unit for every organization, maybe for a month. And amount given to us actually is not sufficient to rule the whole month. So what we have to do is there's some gadgets like AC and other things, and we put them off and use that kind of fines and this for us to achieve whatever they've given to us.
The Ghana Highways Authority is one of the MDAs who are still using the old meters. Director of Public Affairs, NB Kwamo, would not answer any questions on why or when they would install and use the prepaid meters. While some MDAs continue to default on this directive and monies owed the ECG continues to accrue, more money is needed to ensure power reaches every home. On one hand, the VRA and the ECG are asking for increase in tariffs, but on the other hand, the companies are owed large sums by government ministries and agencies. MDAs alone owe more than 230 million Ghana cedis. Head of Corporate Communications at the VRA, Sam Kwesi Fletcher, believes their work will be more effective if these monies are paid and consumers pay cost-effective tariffs.
Yes, they have to go up. If you want good service, you pay for it. We need to have cost-reflective tariffs in this country. I mean, and probably make it even more attractive for other private players to come into the sector. I'm also quite sure that there are quite a number of people out there who are even ready to pay more because they're looking for better service and they understand us. They understand that if we're able to pay more, we think that they are well positioned to give us a better service.
Although they could not mention specifics, the ECG also owes in loans as hinted by the operations manager Tete Okai.
You need the money to improve the network. At the same time, you want the network improved before you pay for it. So which one comes first? That has always been the headache. But maybe we all have to meet ourselves halfway, and then we'll try and get some money, and then we'll do it.
Question is, in the cycle of indebtedness and services many consumers have complained about, should the consumer be made to bear the brunt? Or like the electricity providers say, you must pay if you want a good service. Already, Pressure Group, the Committee on Joint Action, has served a strong warning it will not accept a situation whereby the ordinary consumer will be made to pay such huge debts of government agencies. With the current stance of the VRA and ECG, it doesn't seem the erratic power outages will be over soon. For Joy News, Gifty Ando Apia.
President John Mahama has ordered investigations into reports that $80 million worth of Ghana's gold being transported to Iran has been seized at a Turkish airport. Turkish news agency Anatolia had reported that the plane transporting the gold was grounded for lack of proper documentation. Government has, however, denied knowledge of any official transaction with Iran that required the exchange of gold. Joy News' Evans Manson has been digging for answers and filed this report.
Local media houses first published a story attributing it to a private Iranian news agency, MNA. The Ghanaian government was reported to be behind the gold transaction with Iran, a country with strict international trade restrictions. Spokesperson to the president, John Junapo, was quick to deny the allegations.
Investigations are being carried out, and so when we get enough and adequate information, we would relay it to the people of Ghana. But I can confirm that the government of Ghana has not shipped any gold, neither has it transferred any gold.
Joy News checks reveal that contrary to local reports, the story was first published by the official Turkish news agency, Anatolia. The agency reported that the plane, Airbus A300, owned by a Turkish private company, left Accra for Iran but was forced to make an emergency landing at the Istanbul Ataturk airport to refuel and reshuffle personnel on 1st January. The plane was, however, detained because managers could not produce the necessary documents. John News called the Public Information Office of the Turkish news agency, and it turns out they also transcribed the story from the Associated Press. This is the Public Information Officer.
But we translated this news from APP for it's a translating news. We haven't got a journalist in Ghana, so you should get information from APP or AP. Two of them knows that much more than us, I think.
All our checks in Turkey confirm a plane flying from Ghana carrying cargo suspected to be gold was indeed detained by Turkish custom officials. What we cannot say for sure is whether Ghana was its originating country. A pro-Turkish government newspaper, Yeni Safak Daily, for instance, claims the plane originated from Algeria. It is not also clear if the 1.5 tons of gold was indeed Ghana's commitment to Iran. To add to the mystery, officials at the Kotoka International Airport have confirmed to Joy News they have no record of an Airbus A300 cargo plane flying from Ghana to Iran on or before the 1st of January. The Minerals Commission also has no record of any private or public transaction of the quantity of gold in question. The president has meanwhile ordered investigations that must resolve one central question: the identity, true origin, and contents of the cargo plane detained in Turkey on the 1st of January.
Well, Joy News has learned that government will issue a formal statement on reports that $80 million worth of Ghana's gold being transported to Iran has been seized at a Turkish airport. The Turkish news agency Anatolia had reported that a plane transporting the gold was grounded for lack of proper documentation. Now, The Supreme Court has adjourned to Thursday, January 31, the case in which lawyers of the President and the Electoral Commission are requesting Nana Akufo-Addo, Dr. Bawumia and Jacob Echebelamte, who are challenging the 2012 election results, to furnish them with further and better particulars on their petition. All parties in the petition challenging the results of the December 7, 2012 presidential election are making a number of demands from the MPP who filed the petition.
The Electoral Commission, which presided over the election and is the second respondent in the petition, President John Dramani Mahama, who has been dragged into the petition as the first respondent, and the NDC are all demanding additional documents to enable them put up solid cases. The respondents to the petition filed a motion praying the Supreme Court to direct the petitioners to furnish it with further and better particulars of polling stations the alleged irregularities took place. The motion, which was filed on the President's behalf on January 22, 2013, further urges the courts to order the petitioners to state the number of votes cast in favor of Nana Akufo-Addo in said polling stations and or constituencies, as well as the total number of polling stations and all constituencies where votes cast in favor of President Mahama were alleged to have been illegally padded. The President is seeking an order directing the petitioners to supply the courts with the identities, offices, and if applicable, political affiliation or other connection to any of the parties herein of the persons who it is alleged illegally padded the results in his favor. President Mahama, who insists he won the elections freely and fairly under the watchful eye of the media and domestic as well as international election observers, is asking the court to order the petitioners to cite the name and the code of each polling station, constituency and region where it is alleged that voting took place without biometric verification, as well as the number of voters in each polling station who voted without biometric verification. The petitioners are also asking for declaration forms for all polling stations in the 2012 presidential election, minutes of all meetings held between the EC and the political parties between 2010 and 2012, as well as the special voters list used in the 2012 presidential election. The Supreme Court, however, ruled the NDC should file a motion for further particulars for the party to enable it to raise objections in the election fraud case and adjourned hearing to Thursday, 31st January 2013.
Two applications have been pending. One by the first respondent in the petition, that is Mr. John Mahama, the other by the Electoral Commission, asking for further and better particulars of certain matters that we had deposed to in our petition. We have since filed our affidavits in opposition to both applications. The Supreme Court has heard the applications, and further, there has been pending an application on our part, that is on behalf of the petitioners, for interrogatories to be served on the Electoral Commission. That application has been heard, but Mr. Chikata, who represents the NDC and who, although had been given notice of the pendency of the application for leave for interrogatories to be served on the Electoral Commission, filed no document in the matter as required by the rules of court. He has requested that he be heard in the matter. By a decision of 6-3, the court says he may be heard, but he will be allowed to be heard only if he files a process.
The NDC was thrown into the case rather late, so they didn't have the opportunity of seeing these interrogatories being raised earlier. So they wanted to respond to it. They want to comment on the law pertaining to admissibility of those questions being raised or not. Now, the solicitors for the petitioners objected that, look, these questions were not directed at NDC. So why do you want to comment? And the response from Mr. Chikata's side was very simple, that because it's a party to the NDC is a party to the suit. So you can't have piecemeal discussion, okay? You can't be spectators where we are part of it. Once we join any legal discussion which goes on, we are entitled to comment. Well, as we went on, the arguments went forth and backwards. It became clear that the petitioners were insistent that if he wants to come into the case, he must come properly, as it were, filed his motion paper. It's not nothing, no big deal.
Meanwhile, security within and outside the court premises were tight, following the refusal of the police to allow unauthorized persons, particularly supporters and sympathizers of both the NDC and MPP, access to the court premises.
The minority in Parliament today refrained from making any pronouncements during the approval of 7 nominees for ministerial appointment. The majority, however, described their stance as unconstitutional and a betrayal of the trust reposed in them by their constituents. As key institutions speak against the minority decision, we find out how long they're prepared to carry on with this.
They came in their numbers to sit passively in a proceeding they had vowed to abstain from. But they were confronted with resolute opposition that forced many members of the MPP minority to leave the chamber. Deputy Minority Leader Dominic Nitiwu announced on the floor their decision to abstain in proceedings to approve the 7 nominees vetted by the Appointments Committee.
I espouse the position of the minority that will refrain from taking part in the debate and the actual vote itself on this motion and similar motions that has to do with appointments. But Mr. Speaker, we do know and will depend on your good judgment to ensure that no member here is denigrated or things that has nothing to do with this debate.
But his position was challenged by the NDC Member of Parliament for Tamale South, Haruna Idrisu, who described the minority stance as unconstitutional and a breach of the trust reposed in them by their constituents.
My honest view is that the minority is failing the good people of Ghana in participating in this important shared responsibility. And Mr. Speaker, may I refer you to may I paraphrase and borrow the words of Justice Ampere and Hifron Benjamin in the lucid case of J.H. Mensah versus Attorney General. They said prior approval as not a term of art required that you must get the consent of the authority, which authority refers to the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Therefore, a nomination from the executive must necessarily have the consent of this august house to which they are a part, to which they are running away from that shared obligation to discharge their duties consensuously.
This action by the minority members in Parliament has received condemnation from some members of the public, including some key institutions like the Ghana Bar Association and pro-MPP group Alliance for Accountable Governance, AFAG. Meanwhile, the House approved the following nominees for their respective ministries: Sef Emmanuel Tepe for the Ministry of Finance, Hannah Tete for Foreign Affairs, Alhaji Collins Dauda for Water Resources, Works and Housing, Amin Amidu Suleimani for Roads and Highways, Clement Kofi Humado for Food and Agriculture, as well as Inus Hussein for Lands and Natural Resources, and Mahama Yariga for Information and Media Relations.
Still in Parliament, the usual cordiality amongst members before commencement of business was lost this morning during a fierce verbal exchange between MP for Ablekuma West Eslousu and a colleague from Nantong in the northern region, Murtala Mohammed.
The nasty scene, described by many members of parliament as unfortunate, is said to be a follow-up to an earlier spat between the two on a television program. According to Member of Parliament for Nantong, Murtala Mohammed, he was provoked by an attack by Eslousu.
Today, I saw her. She was with Honorable Adjosafo. Adjosafo, mind you, has been a very good friend. We were mates in Legon. So when I saw them, I went to Adjosafo, we were talking, and I said, Honorable, I asked her, but why? You went on Metro and you said a whole lot of things. I said, yes. And I wanted us to discuss it. You know, I didn't even go there to ask her why. I just went, we sat there, Adjosafo went, oh, but you went on. I said, yes, what you did was bad. Blah, blah. There are people who called me. Northern Extraction called and threatening me because of the irresponsible statement people like you made, you know, and I was treating her as a lady.
Former Majority Leader and Member of Parliament for Nadoli Kaleo, Alban BAGBIN, is meanwhile proposing a code of conduct to guide the conduct and activities of Members of Parliament as a long-term solution to what he describes as such unfortunate scenes.
One of the things that I initiated before I left Parliament as the majority leader was a memo to get a code of conduct and rules of ethics of members of Parliament. This Parliament is simply guided by the bare skeletal provisions of the Constitution. We haven't been able to enact a statute and any rules to guide our conduct. It is done in almost all parliaments in the world. And this was one of the initiatives I lost because I was now focused on the executive wing.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for Ablekuma West, Esla Owusu, has declined comment on the matter.
President Mahama has returned from the 20th session of the AU Summit of Heads of State and Government in Ethiopia. Outgoing Foreign Affairs Minister Alhaji Mohamed Mumuni said regional peace and security with Mali dominated discussions beside the launch and preparation towards the Jubilee of the AU to be observed on 25th of May.
The President arrived at about 3 p.m. today, Tuesday, 29th January 2013. Vice President Kwesi Amisa Arthur was there to receive him in the company of other government officials. He went with the Foreign Affairs Minister Alhaji Mohamed Mumuni. He speaks about the siege in Mali.
Frontline countries such as Niger, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, Mauritania, Algeria, Chad are in serious danger of their security being compromised. Already, some of these countries are reeling under the weight of the humanitarian catastrophe arising from the spillage of refugees that are fleeing from northern Mali. So, considerable time was devoted to finding a solution, especially with the UN Security Council Resolution 2085, which authorized intervention in Mali.
In his address at the summit, the President drew attention to the need for selflessness on the part of leaders. Alhaji Mohamed Mumuni says economic integration towards a unified Africa was deeply discussed.
It was felt that integration is an absolute imperative for Africa to be able to achieve economic independence and prosperity for its people. And therefore, considerable time was devoted into how Africa, the AU, can be transformed into the African Unity Authority, from a commission to authority, how to strengthen and bring together the regional economic communities into an eventual United States of Africa.
A proposal to create a constitutional court was also approved.
Watching the primetime news on the Joy News channel. Still to come, we have business as well as international news and the very latest from AFCON. The Accra Metropolitan Assembly is introducing some measures, it says, should avert further deaths at the OKPONGLO intersection of the Legon-Medina Highway. The measures, including the construction of rumble strips, followed the death of 3 students at the University of Ghana in recent accidents at that intersection.
In the first incident on the highway, which is still under construction, 2 level 100 females died when a taxi they were traveling in collided with a refuse truck. In the second incident, which occurred a week after, a first-year medical student was knocked down at the same intersection, prompting threat by the Students' Representative Council to stage a demonstration to draw attention to the tragedies. Accra Mayor Alfred Oko Vanderpoy, who announced the measures after touring the intersection with some officials from the Urban Roads Department, says police officers will be deployed to the area.
What we decided was that there was the need to have police presence at all times to ensure and to assist pedestrians and motorists in their use of the infrastructure that has been put in place. And then secondly, that we need to do some additional upgrading in terms of the improvement of the infrastructure. In other words, put, for example, more additional signs, and then also construct some preventive activities on the road to aid motorists and their use of the infrastructure. And then thirdly, to also ensure that the public assisted by the police, know exactly how to relate to the use of the street light system.
Students at the nearby University of Ghana, meanwhile, say until the measures are fully instituted, the highway for them remains a source of terror.
Recently, it's like kind of scary. Like, you're more careful because, like, 2 people have already died and a boy too died, and they are all first years, and it could be anybody. It's like you are more careful. You are looking left and right again. I think there should be police people around. Like, police people should be around to help us during crossing, because the cars that come in, like, they come like with top speed.
Having seen what happened has taken place in this past 2 weeks, students are now very cautious when we take crossing the streets. And you know, usually when we get to campus, we lower down our guards, because compared to being out of campus, it's more riskier out of campus than it was on campus.
So actually, I'm very, very scared, because this is the street I normally use when I'm going to the house, and when I'm from the house, I normally just cross right over here. So I'm very, very scared. Now, since I think 3 students have died just recently, so I'm very, very scared when I'm using this road.
I don't feel any different, but it's a bit scary using this road. I think that speed ramps should be constructed on this road to stop the speeding, to minimize it here. Yeah.
The Accra mayor is, however, urging pedestrians to be cautious in the use of the road.
It came also to light that, you know, pedestrians sometimes, when they are in the area crossing, they have on their earphones and listening to music, or students, you know. So we need to take this medium to advise that, you know, when they get to the point where they are going to cross the road, they must, you know, desist from listening to music, and so they can pay attention to the road use, you know, and see and look for what is happening. When they have crossed and they are out of danger, then they can go back to listening to their music and listening to whatever. Maybe, you know, it's not just music they are listening to. They might be taking notes and, you know, yeah, so, but they must do it away from danger zones.
The University of Ghana, SRC, has since called off the planned demonstration after meeting with the AMA. Meanwhile, Joy News observed at the time of her visit that though the traffic lights at the intersection were working, that of the pedestrians was not.
A Ghana Armed Forces contingent that went on peacekeeping in Liberia under the United Nations force there has returned after a 6-month tour of duty.
The 700-strong battalion arrived this morning after a successful completion of their mission. They were officially welcomed with a Mission of Accomplishment parade at the Ministry of Defense headquarters at Burma Camp. Colonel Tony Kofi Asare is the director for Army Peacekeeping in Ghana.
We had a battalion of 700 officers and men, and then we had additionally about 18 staff officers at the headquarters. Thanks to God, they've all returned safely. The problem in Liberia started long ago, when initially ECOWAS had to send a force in 2003 called ECOMIL to Liberia to help them resolve the internal conflict that they had. Initially we were in Monrovia, but then we've had to move inland further, and this particular battalion even had to extend the area of operation by adding additional 3 counties to their responsibilities.
Colonel Asari said there were no casualties for the 6 months the troops stayed in Liberia. For the wives of the peacekeepers, it was a great joy to have their men back.
I'm so happy, so excited. I don't even know what to do, whether to carry him or to back him. So I'm so happy. I'm so happy that he has come back, because it's not easy. That peacekeeping, but they say it's peace, but it's not peace. They already went for war, because when the enemy gets you, he will leave you. So we thank God that he has protected them and brought them back to us.
I'm so much happy. I don't know what to do, because of God's grace. God go with them and bring them back to us again. We are so much happy.
I'm happy today. So I got to prepare the banku and tilapia.
Another 700-strong contingent is currently in Liberia to replace the troops. For Joy News, Clarence Kwesiapia.
Countries the world over are increasingly paying more attention to alternative power in a bid to protect the environment while still providing electricity to fuel economic growth. Here in Ghana, Power for Africa LLP, a UK-based organization, has announced an initiative to help the country make more use of its renewable energy resources.
Renewable energy, mainly biomass and hydro, accounts for 78% of the total energy consumption in Ghana. Currently, more than 60% of electricity generated is from hydro power sourced from the Akosombo and Kpong hydro power plants. To help ease the power shortage in the country, Power for Africa LLP UK and GEM Technologies Limited Ghana have launched the Solar to Africa 400 transformational solar energy system.
What we have developed is a four-part system, easily connected, scalable and safe. The Solar to Africa 400 provides in excess of 1100 watt-hours of electricity per day from a full charge. It has 12-volt DC, 230-volt AC and USB outlets to allow easy connection of lights, PC, small TV, radio, fans, in fact anything up to 400 watts.
Solar to Africa 400 is a portable, versatile and affordable solar power generator designed to provide a standalone energy source in homes where there is no electricity or where the power network is unreliable. Currently, there are enormous investment opportunities in the country's renewable energy sub-sector, which includes solar, biomass, mini hydro and wind. CEO of GEM Technologies, John Nyame, says the acceptance of the Solar to Africa 400 product will bring a new approach to power inverters, solar panels and deep cycle battery usage in the country.
France's politicians are defending the health of its economy after Labour Minister Michel Sapin described the state as totally bankrupt. Finance Minister Pierre Moscovici later said that Sapin's comments were not appropriate. And elsewhere, shares in Ford are falling 3.9% in early Wall Street trading on the rising cost of fixing its European business. The US car maker cautioned that 2013 losses in Europe would be $2 billion, greater than its previous $1.5 billion estimate.
Good evening and welcome to the sports segment of the news. My name is Clarence Kwesi Apia. Nigeria today sailed through to cement a position in the quarterfinals of the 2013 African Cup of Nations in South Africa. Nigeria defeated Ethiopia by 2-0, and that means Ethiopia will be exiting the tournament. Defending champions Zambia could not make it to the quarterfinals after a 1-1 draw with Burkina Faso. And tomorrow, Tunisia will play Togo while Ivory Coast locks horns with Algeria. And that's it for the sports segment. Up next is Showbiz.
Showbiz. My name is Gladys Osei Oreju. Now, does the name Eddie Nartey ring a bell? It probably should, because he is an actor. Now, here's a question. If you were to name just 3 of Ghana's finest actors, would you add his name to the list? Hate it or love it, Eddie says he is one of the top 3 actors Ghana can boast of. The young Ghanaian actor has been in the movie industry for a little over 6 years and has featured in quite a number of local movies. He made his screen debut in the movie Wedlock of the Gods, and since then, the acting profession has been refreshing for the young man. Some of his movies include The King is Mine, Crime to Christ, Tears of Womanhood, Agony of Christ, Foreplay Reloaded, and a host of others. Eddie was part of a team of Ghanaian celebrities who congregated at the Calvary Temple ICGC to talk to their fans about God, as well as share their real-life testimonies. In his testimony, he revealed that he is currently one of the top 3 actors in the country.
By the special grace of God, believe me, call Ghana actors on the wrong list.
Just to be sure, Eddie's rating of himself was not because he was moved by the Spirit. I sought clarity after his testimony.
The top 3, Majid Michel, myself, Prince David.
Okay, so from all indications, Eddie considers himself second-rated to colleague actors Majid Michel and Prince David Osei. Now let's put Eddie's popularity to the test. Which 3 actors make the cut for the average Ghanaian movie fan?
Okay, John DeMello is my man, Majid, then I'll go for Jackie Appiah.
The top 3 artists, I know Majid, I know Van Vicker, and Yvonne Essen.
Malaika Jacko, Chewa and Lewin.
Jackie Appiah, John DeMello, and Nadia Buhari.
Yvonne Essen, Jackie Appiah, then this guy. Okay, let's make it Ejako.
So where does that leave Eddie? Maybe the voice of the people is the voice of God. I just hope Eddie was listening. Well, so award-winning controversial rapper ASEM, who premiered his new singles Wasted and Love today on multimedia platforms, says he and Links Entertainment CEO Richie used to be very good working friends and still maintain a cordial relationship even after his breakaway from the Links outfit. His comments are to a reaction to a secret tape on which Richie is said to have described ASEM as an ingrate. He said this in an interview after premiering his songs. He reacted to that issue. ASEM, who recently announced a collaborative album project with dancehall Ken Samini with the release of a single Running Away, unleashed 2 new songs of his 3rd album titled Tough Times Don't Last TTDL. ASEM explains that the track Wasted talks about living the life you love and loving the life you live, and how people go through stress to work so hard, make money, yet forget to party and have fun. It is an Afrobeat up-tempo groove for the partygoers. The 2 tracks, Wasted and Love, which received their first airplay today according to ASEM, are timely for the festive seasons ahead, Valentine and Easter.
People being, should I say, abreast with time, too much abreast with time, makes it very difficult for an artist to stay on the low key for a long time. You always have to be, grinding and putting enough material, good new material out there. God being so good, the 3rd album is looking amazing. So we felt that, okay, since Valentine's Day is around the corner and Easter is around the corner, you have to put out new material, for people to jam to. You understand me? So we put out 2 new songs today, and it was just premiered on Joy FM 99.7. I'm here on Multi TV. So
ASEM recently released the video for his song Bye Bye, which featured Kwabna Kwabna. In the video, Kwabna Kwabna was not featured. Many have questioned why, but he explains it was not due to any bad intentions.
And Kwabna is a big artist. Likewise, we also have our tours we are doing. I'm here today, tomorrow I'm there. Today he's here, tomorrow he's... So, it was very difficult trying to put together the time and scheduling. And we both agreed, like, look, let's just put a video out. I mean, the people want to see a video, So there's nothing really dangerous. There's no malice behind it. It's just that Kwabna's time and scheduling could you just make a video. I mean,
For a couple of days now, there are rumors making rounds that Richie has been caught in a secret tape recording describing ASEM as an ingrate who pays good with evil. So we asked ASEM to comment, but guess what? He flatly denied and said he has not heard about it, yet he had this to say.
If I hear the tape, I can comment on it. I haven't heard any tape. It's a new story by someone who claims there was a tape and the tape hasn't been heard. So how can I comment on somebody's words?
The award-winning controversial rapper says he is single and searching. We want to help him find, so we inquired about what about a woman that makes him tick. The hip life hip-hop star, who already has 2 albums to his credit, says his 3rd album, TTDL, is his best work so far and can't wait for his fans to hear it. All right, so the ladies who paid attention and were hoping to hear ASEM's choice of a woman, he says he prefers a dark-skinned woman who wears okay, I definitely will get you that bit so you listen to it yourself. Well, so still moving on to releases of video, award-winning gospel musician Kwesi Oten is also set to release a new single. Even before the single comes out, it has been described as one which will boost his budding career.
Africa Gospel Award-winning artist Kwesi Oten is set to release a hot new single soon. The single is off his upcoming album, which has not been named yet. The single, simply titled I Win, is expected to propel the award-winning gospel artist to higher heights in his career. I Win will be the first official single to be released by the God They Bless Me hitmaker under his new record label BBNZ Live. Kwesi is quoted by 233music.com as saying, quote, I Win is specially composed to make my fans overcome doubts and fears and empower them with faith and confidence to be victorious in all they do. Well, considering the fact that BBNZ Live played a major role in the rise of hip life